the kind of argument that Bhagat makes and mine seem to be tangentially different, because we do not seem to have a kind of agreement on some of these broad points that we made. Let us, underscore for effect that since Amit Shah's visit to the state, 29th of May, you have as many of 56 Kuki villages burned down. And if you multiply it by a conservative estimate of 40, that means almost 250 houses burned down, right? And you have 20 churches destroyed since then, and 6 Kukis killed, right? So the data shows that the major casualty of these offensive strikes against the Kuki in the foothills are the Kukis, not the Métis. And the kind of retaliatory burning of houses comes only after such offensive attacks happened. And they are, very disturbing reports where some of these officers, MR officers, or some of these BSF officers, or even Assam Rifles officer who are posted for offensive attack against or in the name of combing operations are from the valley communities. And that is precisely where the theater of war changed, in such a way that most of all these conflagrations are now induced by the state offensive strike. It is not the other way around. And that is precisely why all of these conflagration now shifted in the foothills. And that suggests, without without any much need for elaboration, that at the receiving end are the Kuki villages. That's one. The second point is that, as I have been saying, the Arambai Tengols had recently been complicit in being used as a frontier organization. Look at the report by India Today. I will not name the reporter who reported, who was coerced to take down her report in the India Today portal, where 500 surrendered proscribed militant organizations in the valleys are now actively participating in Arambal Tengol's ethnic cleansing as well as genocidal strikes against the Kuki militants. And this is a very conservative estimate. And to accept on face value what Bhagat suggested, that proscribed militant organizations based in the valley are not to be seen in the valley, is it's just naive. I wish such naive statement holds true in the ground, because you have a deep nexus between this proscribed organization, the state agencies, as well as this front organization, who are now effectively used to kind of actualize the radicalized agenda that these proscribed organizations have. And until the elephant in the room is tackled, until these radicalized proscribed armed organizations, who are there in the valley areas, are flushed out and they are disarmed effectively, you do not have a possibility of peace or stability returning in the state any soon. So I think this is precisely where I diversely differ with Bhagat, because all these so-called Kuki or Chin militants coming across the border without any concrete or authoritative data is sometimes very misleading, because it in effect plays into a particular narrative where the major source of all this violence is not from the valley areas but from the hill areas, which is in fact, not squaring up with what actually transpired on the ground. So I think unless this elephant in the room, that is the proscribed militant organization, let us also distinguish between proscribed militant organization with radicalized political agenda from Sioux militant groups who are now more or less domesticated within the framework of India's constitution. And these so-called Sioux militant organization have never posed any demand which in effect then endangered the territorial integrity of India. They have never been involved in any ambush against the Indian armed force, unlike the proscribed militant organization in the valley areas. In fact, on this, I have written in the Indian Express in November 2021, when the Assam Rifle convoy was ambushed.
I request both Professor Bhagat and Professor Khamkan to just for a minute, because Hasina ji is also waiting very patiently. Hasina ji, there's one word which has cropped up again and again. Miscreants are in the valley, and our debate is narco terrorism reality, or is it leading to stereotyping of a community? But then there are miscreants. My question is, who are these miscreants? And a very important observation was also made, miscreants are creating displacements of population. Who are these miscreants, Hasina ji?
So if we are talking about two aspects of what this entire debate that we're having today is, do we go on stereotyping of the situation at this moment, or do we ask the central government to do a fact-finding of the situation that is taking place? Because stereotyping sometimes can lead to not an answer, but more confusion about the real situation that is taking place on the ground. So I think it's very critical. So let's look at we have moved the entire violence of Manipur into different debate, different situation, different angle and point so far in the last 1 month. But I would really like to bring this forward is that has any fact-finding committee has been put together to actually find out what's going on the ground? That is the need of the hour. We cannot really have stereotyping at a situation when we are talking about reconciliation and peace and bring in the peaceful harmony of the people who need it the most at this point of time.